Hello and welcome to Authentic Voices. My name is Noma, and this is a space where we hold real and unfiltered conversations that come from lived experiences and also get to draw lessons from those conversations from people that are actually building things in the real world. So today's guest is Eugene Museredza. He's an entrepreneur whose journey began in the classroom as a teacher, and he expanded into business ventures across printing, stationery, music, and art talent management, as well as club soccer administration. Eugene's path has placed him at the intersection of creativity, leadership, and systems. And these are spaces that often inspire passion, they inspire debate, and sometimes misunderstanding. So today's conversation is not really about personalities or moments, but it's just about process where Eugene is just going to walk us through his careers and how his careers were built, how industries that he finds himself in function, and also how people can navigate them with clarity and intention. So help me to welcome Eugene. So Eugene, welcome to Authentic Voices. It's great to have you on this episode, and we're looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have.
Thank you so much, Noma, for hosting me.
So let's start at the beginning, Eugene. Can you tell us a bit about your background and also how you began your career as a teacher?
Okay. Um, my background, okay, I'll just probably start at the professional level. I am a I am a trained school teacher. I trained at Morgan Star Teachers College in Mashingo, Zimbabwe, um, from 1998 to 2000. After that, I then served in the Ministry of Education uh, for 7 years. Taught in Mondoro and taught in Norton um, before I left the service in 2007. That's my backbone profession. Mhm.
And when we look at teaching, right, it requires a lot of patience, it requires structure, and even managing expectations. Do you find when you look back that this experience actually shaped the way that you actually lead people now and just manage your general work?
Yes, very much. I'm very grateful of the training that I did. Um, and the key takeaway that I got and used today is patience. I'm very patient. I I believe I was trained to work with people who don't know. I'm a trained primary school teacher, so I was trained to work with people who don't know. So when I meet someone who doesn't know today, who doesn't know as much as I know, I don't get offended, even if they are to argue with me on something that I very well know. I'll give them time. I have time to explain, or I'll give them time to believe that. And at a certain point, we then agree. Even if I'm working with someone who has got lesser knowledge than me, um, I'm patient to impart them because I know that um, we were all born according to this Tanzanian philosopher. He said we were born tabula rasa, like we were born with nothing in our heads, and everything was taught. So yeah, outside patience is a key takeaway from my training.
And do you find sometimes when you're doing your work, managing artists, or even the role that you're playing in soccer club management, do you sometimes find yourself having to use your classroom management skills?
Yes, every day. My training is about imparting knowledge. And we also taught that as teachers as well, we don't know everything. So I'm also I research on a subject that I want to that I'll be dealing with a lot. I go on case studies a lot. All that is from my teaching background. So even so, when I'm managing, when I'm in artist management, musician management, when I get to something that I don't know, I run to research because of the nature of my training. That tells me that at times when you don't know something, research. Um, and when I've got more knowledge than the guys that I'm working with, I I break it down. I break it down to portions that they will start to understand, and eventually they will know the whole structure of what is supposed to be understood. So it's an everyday. Uh, my life revolves around my teaching background every day.
Interesting. And I like the philosophy you mentioned, right? We came into the world with nothing in our heads, and in everything else we have is something that we learned along the way. And I also like the takeaway around research. When you don't know something, look for information. And so I think that's an interesting takeaway and something that's pertinent for people to just think around. And at some point, you decided that you were moving from teaching and going into entrepreneurship. What instigated that shift?
Okay. I believe everyone else, when you are growing up, you've got ambitions. Um, you say at this age, I want to be and this and done that and done that. So because I joined the profession as a qualified teacher, I believe was a young age. I think I was at 20 or I think at 20, I was now a qualified teacher, and the 7 years that I spent there, I felt I done well, I want to say my part, but I the adventure uh, I had to take it to another level. Um, I was ambitious and said, "I know, let me try other things. Let me get into business." That's how I said, I'm going to leave my profession. But otherwise, I was enjoying it. I think I left it when I was now even a sports director at one of the biggest schools by enrollment in our the town that I come from, Norton. I was a chair at primary school. I think then the enrollment was about almost 2,000, and I was
Wow.
in charge of
Mhm.
the sports department. I was enjoying it, but I was also ambitious and I wanted to try other things. I knew that at some point I must get involved into music. It was my biggest hobby, listening to music, understanding the industry. So I had to move.
Mhm. And I know you didn't just move totally, you did it sort of step by step, but what made you realize that this is really not a side hustle anymore? This is something that I really want to do and I want to be involved in and build on it long term.
Okay. After I started to go to now and now getting a salary, I could sponsor my habits, I would sponsor my hobbies. I would attend a lot of Oliver to this gigs uh, around my town, Narari, Norton, and surrounding areas. So at that time, I saw that this was not just this was entertainment business, this was music business. I saw a lot of money. I saw the number of people coming to the shows multiplied by the admission fee. I saw how food was being sold. I saw um, how drinks, how beverages being sold. I saw how hotels would be booked. and so on. So I saw the ecosystem, the entertainment ecosystem. So I knew this was actually a business, and that you can only enjoy it when you're giving it enough attention. So that's when I said, I know I must be serious with this. I can make a living out of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Interesting. And when you reflect back, how did your family, your friends, and your community react to that decision that you wanted to move to from live teaching and
Okay.
go into entrepreneurship?
I would get my late mother, may her soul rest in peace. She passed away last year in November. It's about a year now since she left. Uh, she 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 supported me in many of my dreams and ambitions. She would give me a chance. She's not a mother who would really come hard on you. She asked me, "So you want to do this full time? And you actually want to leave work?" I said yes. She asked other question. I said, "This is something that I understand um, more than my my teacher training. I understand entertainment more than that, and I'm passionate about it, and I'll be doing something that I really really enjoy." So when she approved, no one else mattered. People were tagged along as we were
Mhm.
moving.
Mhm. No, that's interesting. And it's always good to get your mother's at least approval on big decisions like
Yeah.
that. Uh, and then when you're also looking back at that transition period, what would you say it taught you about things like responsibility, risk, even managing people expectations, yourself, your own expectations, and those of other people's?
Okay. Most of that I developed in me in that time when I wanted to leave my profession. I also saw that everyone was doing was involved was doing well in other fields of business or their careers or so and so on. It was based. Um, it was from a decision that they deliberately took. That okay, I'm going to go into entrepreneurship. Or I'm going to be a career person. Uh, they decided to do that, and they did it wholeheartedly. And when challenges came their way, they they faced them and solved them. They no one to blame because they took that decision. So I took that decision, and yeah, challenges came, still come. They even still come today. But we handled them because we are doing something that we decided that we are going to do. I don't know if I've answered you enough.
No, you did. Thanks. And it's enlightening, right? Just the points you're raising around the things you need to be aware of when you're taking on new, at least when you're following your dreams, but taking on new challenges. And
Yes.
now your work actually spans across printing, you're involved in printing, arts and talent management. You're also in club soccer management. How did each of these ventures come about? How did you find yourself in all these spaces?
Okay. When I left teaching, I also got into this stationery branding business because I was coming from as a teacher. I was exposed to what schools want, so I developed a business around supplying schools. I understood stationery, so uh, I got into that. I understood printing for schools. I understood that, and there are still a big constituent of my clients because it's an area that I know. Yeah, so that's how I found myself there, because I had to go back and use my network
Mhm.
that I naturally, that I now had, because I told you I was sports director when I left the
Mm.
profession. So I'd I was exposed to many people.
Yeah.
So I would know who I submit quotations if I win the tender, and we do that.
Mm. And you did give us a
Then um,
go
come
ahead.
again.
No, go ahead. I thought you had stopped. You can go ahead.
All right. Uh, I was then saying that I then also got into artist management. With artist management, in teaching, they are linked. It's talent management. It's about bring out the best from a person, bring out the best from a child or from an adult. So the formulas are the same. Same with sports administration. I told you that I was a sports director for a very big school with
Yes.
an enrollment of almost 2,000. So I was also exposed to talent management, uh, from athletics, ball games, fine arts. So I was exposed uh, in the structures of talent management. So when I then got into soccer administration, it was just a continuation of my background or backbone profession. Hmm.
Interesting.
Thank
And
you.
when you're looking at all three ventures, which one did you find most challenging, and why did you find it challenging?
Um, well, challenging. I'll be honest. I liked the ventures that I got myself into. So I would research a lot. So when I face challenges about challenges in business, you are always having them. I was not, it really didn't stress me a lot. I just knew that I must research more on something that is confusing me. So um, I would not cry because of challenges. Just have not, okay, why is it I don't have customers this month or this period? You search on market trends. Just, okay, if it's in such a month, such clients don't come and so on. So
Mhm.
that's how I solve my challenges. I would research more and more.
Mhm.
And even today, when I have challenges, I research. I ask people, people that also mentor me. I go to them and find out.
Interesting. And so I know you've mentioned the issue around research, but what are the skills or principles have stayed with you across all the three ventures?
Patience, uh, patience, patience on processes. There are certain things that you cannot rush. There are certain things that cannot happen as fast as you want. Say, for example, you've invested all your savings in a certain machine to boost your business. You know that it also takes a lot of time to market that special machine that you probably have invested in. So you might put a lot of money in something and it doesn't immediately start to pay. Or even the capital that you put in there can take a lot of months to actually come back to say, I'm not break even now. Um, I've returned the money that I put. So it goes back to just being patient with processes and also being honest with yourself. At times, you're trying to offer a service in an area or a community that has got very few people uh, who want that service, or who believe that you can do that service in your location. Some who just want to go to the capital city. They believe that no, you can only be expensive if you are trying to do it outside the capital city.
And do you find that sometimes people underestimate the similarities between managing creative industry, within creative industries, and even in sports management, with the similarities with other business ventures, like when it comes to issues around structure, accountability, and things like that?
Come again, Noma.
Okay, I'm just asking, like, do you feel sometimes people underestimate the similarities in the business skills that are required, right, around accountability, around structure? So between sports, creative arts, and also
I
just
get you.
other general businesses.
Yeah, I've caught up. Right. The principles are the same. They are the same. How you run a bank, a mine, a supermarket is how you run all these ventures that I'm talking about. That's how you run a printing business. That's how you run or manage a musician. That's how you run or manage a soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Yeah.
the organogram, the reporting structure, their processes, the there's formalization. You have to comply with your company's act of your country, and so on. The principles are pretty much the same.
Okay. So,
There's no lesser business.
And let's talk specifically about music. So many people experience the music industry from the perspective of the artist, right? Because that's the one they see, that's the product who is out there. But from your perspective, can you tell us a bit about the core role of a manager?
Okay. The core of a manager also depends on the level the artist is. Um, an established artist, the way a manager, the relationship of a manager and an established artist is different from a manager and yet to be established artist. I wanted to say upcoming artist, but I stopped that because some of them, they find it very, very offensive. So I just say a not established artist, right? Also because of my training, I have a bias in these not established artists. That's why I have a passion in mentoring to up to the highest possible level that a person can get established. So it takes you have to be honest, you the artist and the manager, on where you are, right, and how to behave on where you are, right. If you're an established artist, um, to maintain your establishment of your artistry, there are certain key demands that people you're working with, especially clients or event planners, must meet. You would have worked your way up that you no longer sleep at any room with a bed. You now sleep at places with certain standards. You can even state the stars or what must have, the kind of room that you sleep, the kind of stage that you play on, who supplies the PA system, where they supplied before, um, the number of security personnel. Those are things that the manager can be looking at. Digital marketing of the brand and its facets, the music and so on. And at the established level, all these things can also be split. You have sub-managers, digital managers, media manager, general manager, financial manager, or financial director. When you become that established, you can have such kind of departments and head of departments, which also further answers what you asked earlier on about structuring. That is, the structures differ per type of business? And I said, no, they are the same, right? So if you are not yet established and you are honest with yourself, probably the manager who start with you at that point not having a lot of people managing you. Probably the manager will be doing all those things alone, right? Managing your media and so on. And as a manager, we're working with yet to be established artists. You must be able to pick the strengths and weaknesses of your artist. Times someone is not confident to speak. So you must know that, so that you know how to have media briefings. You know how to handle it. If you're invited to radio, you know how to handle that. You ask for questions before, so that you raise the questions with him or her, and so on. So the role of the manager depends on where the artist is. If you are not yet established, and you are doing music full time, there are very few. You obviously have got fewer requirements than the established artist. Otherwise, if you have requirements as big as established artist, people might not find you attractive because you don't have numbers to make the decision, so they will not take your request. I don't know if I answered you enough.
You did. But when we're looking on the flip side, which is equally important, right? What isn't the manager's role?
Come again?
Like when we're looking on the other side, in contrast, what isn't the manager's role? Just to help manage expectations.
All right. The artist and the manager, the nature of the business, because this is an emotional business. It's artistry. It comes a lot of emotions. So with time, you get to even develop a personal relationship with a manager and artist. Something can go to a friendship, or brother and sister, or brother to brother, right? So in that relationship, that also determines what a manager uh, must not do, or is not supposed to be getting themselves involved, right? Meaning that depending on the relationship, a manager at times is not allowed in the private space of the artist, not allowed in family issues of the artist, not allowed in seeing who is dating the artist. For example, whose friends are the artists and so on. The manager, that cannot be. It's not your area really, right? But like I said, because it's an emotional business, you're working together, you might end up being friends. And when you're now friends, you end up getting into each other's probably non-professional spaces, and you end up knowing each other's uh, things outside the professional relationship.
But when
So,
you're looking at brand management, how do you then reconcile the two, separating yourself from their life and yet their personal life affects the brand?
okay, it now depends also with what I said, like the artist and your artist IQ. How it is. If your artist is with high IQ, you know that they can handle themselves in their family issues and so on. If it's okay, if I say low IQ, I think it still sounds offensive. But if I say probably less confident, low self-esteem, um, you might, for the success of the brand, the manager might even get into that space and be hyping the artist, encouraging them to gain some confidence for the goodness of the brand. Might end up having to script what the artist say on stage. So it will be so it depends with the relationship that you have. Like especially in this creative industry, where I say the emotions run high. Um, the manager and artist, therefore, the certain relationship that they have that then cannot makes it difficult to separate the person, the brand, and so on.
And when you're looking at the decisions that managers get to make behind the scenes, how powerful is that role uh, in shaping an artist's career positively or negatively?
Okay. It also depends again with where the artist is, and because if it's an artist who is still to be established, uh, the manager at times has to think on his or her toes. They have to decide probably immediately. Like if someone calls for a booking, they have to answer. They have to make a decision quickly, and and then later go and explain to the artist. But an established artist might actually now have a structure whereby nothing is just approved over the phone. It's taken and there's a meeting. Then that person is given feedback after a certain period. So it depends how it depends at the level that you are as the artist, the level that you actually are. Yeah, I'm still there.
Interesting. And when you're looking at issues around transparency and clear communication, how do you find those like in terms of how do you find them helpful to prevent misunderstandings between the artist and the manager?
It's very important when you're starting to working together uh, to be clear on those things. How are we going to because the business you want to the motive is to make a profit. How do we share profit, right? Um, how do we manage incoming finances? How do we manage the budget, right? It is important that those things are transparent, right? Some artists would engage musicians just say, no, I just want you to do my bookings. This is my rate. Talk to the people on the phone for me, and I'll make decisions. So it comes back again to the where the artist is and the structure that they are using.
Mhm. And there's also been growing conversation in creative spaces around access, networks, and what some people are terming gatekeeping. I don't know from your experience, how do you distinguish between creating a network, a professional network, and gatekeeping?
Okay, I will selfishly answer it from a manager's point of view. That is, you're working with various stakeholders when you're managing an artist, whether established or not. There's a network that naturally naturally grows around you or for you. Uh, this could be journalists that you talk to every day. This could be promoters who organize shows. This could be corporate people who organize shows. The police, the people who make posters, people who supply pay systems. You develop relationships with those people, and that become your network as a manager. I'm going to answer it from a manager's point of view as a manager. So when you then leave this particular artist for whatever reason, and you go to the next artist, you're going also with the network. That network is you're going with it, right? The artist has got access to the same network. That is, if they were also taking interest in building their network from the people that they were meeting, right? So you, as the manager, you go to the next artist. That artist will also start to enjoy your network to the extent that they can actually be booked by just being managed by this manager, right? Probably with the reputation of being professional, arriving events on time, and so on. So someone can book my new artist based on the principles that the manager um, demonstrated over the years where he was with other people. Now you can call this journalist and say, I want to be, I'm inviting you to my event as your media house because you know each other. It's not they might say, wow, it would be interesting. We know how you know how he or she structures these events. So we must go, right? So that's the benefits of a network. So, but some people, they confuse that with gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is there in institutes, right? With instruments to actually use to can I say fight? I can say fight. I don't know what the word to use. To gatekeep. I don't know. Let me use to gatekeep. Right? There are institutes that they say if they don't like artist A, they will not give them access to what those institutes can give them. Yeah, you can call it gatekeeping. Right? But most of these artists, not some of the artists who say gatekeeping are, to be honest, some of them are just lazy, and they want to blame everyone for what they've not managed to achieve. Because why I said lazy, um, an artist is the product of the relationship, right, between an artist and the manager, and the band, all the stakeholders. This is the person that people love, right? So there is no one who can really gatekeep. Who can gatekeep? I don't know, gatekeeping you away. I don't know the proper English. If you're a very good, musician, right? If you're a very good musician and you build your following, a paying crowd, every promoter will come to you. But you cannot say someone is gatekeeping, someone is blocking the way for me. When you organize your own shows, you don't break even. You don't attract enough numbers to say they've been profitable. So you can't say that there's gatekeeping. If you cannot make your own shows and see how worth you are, how many people come to you, who pay X dollars times, not those numbers, you will not know your worth.
Well, yeah, you're speaking about. Oh, okay, go on. I was going to
No,
move
I was just giving you a warning that I'm a trained teacher. I was trained to talk. So if you don't confirm me again, go hold
No,
it, go
that's
hold it.
no, that's fine. We want you to talk because we do want to learn from you and just to get these insights around music. And you raised emerging artists in the last response you gave, and I was just wondering if you have anything that you could say to emerging artists around earning their own access, building their own networks, and also just understanding also where responsibility lies, just to avoid again these misunderstandings.
All right. I would say emerging artists, what they must first and foremost work on or invest on is emotional balance.
Mhm.
Emotional balance. What do I mean by that? I mean that they have to control their egos, their emotions. Um, in that, as you're working yourself up there are people who are going to disrespect you justifiably because probably don't have the number to for them to invite you. So you must accept that I have to work to have number to get respect, right? What makes you a successful artist, according to me, is about 60-70% of a good character and emotional balance. Then there's 30 or 40% is talent. Talent is not the main thing that can make you successful. So what makes successful is by emotional balance. Do you understand that this game has got many stakeholders? Do you understand the importance of journalists? Do you understand the importance of TV? Do you understand the importance of so many stakeholders? So invest in relationships with them. I'm not saying bribe them or be taking them, but just when you have time to meet them, when there's an opportunity to meet them, make sure that you're just as professional as possible, so that they can also remember you when they've got similar things that they are planning that they might want your services.
Interesting. And I find another area that seems to cause confusion is the difference between a manager and a booking agent. I don't know if you can just share a bit of clarity around that and break down those roles for us.
Yeah, it seems you had really researched your for this interview. You actually know a booking agent. Right. The difference between booking agencies and the manager is that a booking agent works with many musicians. Some of the booking agents they work per genre. If they are booking agents who book on behalf of jazz artists or rumba artists, reggae artists, and so on. So you they can look for you, or you can register with them. Some of them have got websites. You register with them, put your work and your red card. When they signed you up, they said it's okay. Um, they when they are you've got they find events, they just check these events are costing so much money, and our commission is such a percentage. Right? Booking agents, they don't open your social media platforms. They don't really advise you on anything on your image. You're probably abusing A, B, C, D on camera. They don't comment and say no. No, they don't. In terms, these booking agents can be per region or per country. Then a booking agent for covering South Africa, covering England, and so on. And when you have these inquiries in those countries, from those countries, you refer the people. No, I've got a booking agent. My booking agent is John, who is in England. Where you're calling me from? Can you please call him on this number or on a number, and then discuss? Right. Those are booking agents. And managers are full time, um, working hand in hand with the artist. Managers are the ones that when they see a super article, a negative about their artist, they react. Probably the first they said, okay, they'll react in any way. They can choose to be very quiet. They can organize a counter, a press conference to correct what is happening. So that's kind of relationship that's the difference between a manager and a booking agent.
And you mentioned that booking agents charge a commission. How is that structured, and like how do they come up to that agreement?
Okay, in terms of commission, that a booking agent can get, but or even a manager, I'll just also answer it without being asked. The commission that you are paid, there's no really standard that is said that it's such a percentage. You can just value yourself, whether you're booking agent, you can value yourself as like, okay, I get so many gigs, so I'm going to get a greater percentage than the artist, or I'm going to get a lesser percentage than the artist. The question of just deciding, uh, negotiating on the business table, or like, so what am I going to get from that, and so on. I hope I hope I answered.
No, you did. And I just want to take advantage of your knowledge and experience around this. Like we understand, right? Not every artist manager relationship lasts forever, like every business arrangement. But what are the when in an instance where this professional relationship has ended, what steps can an artist take um, as they are preparing or continuing on with their journey?
Okay, an artist is also a business person as well. So when they're working with this manager A or manager B, they must be budgeting for a life without that manager, even during their best times. Uh, because there are so many things that can happen. There's death, there's conflict, there's disease, there's, there's disability that can just happen to the very good manager. Uh, so as an artist, you must also be learning what your manager is doing, and also then so when anything happens, you probably put some cover for yourself, that that someone then steps in, and so on. You can also have a business decision to end your relationship. Probably it's not profitable enough as you're all thinking. You as a manager can actually say that no, I'm no longer interested in managing you for such reasons. We discuss it at the end. Well, if you want, you can even have a press conference, right? So if the manager, this level is ended and you want another one, just go because you now put a network. So you can just with that artist in a few months that they start being booked. So that's how you must budget for some artist or management ending up their professional relationship.
Yeah, those are interesting to takeaways. The issue around artists not becoming over reliant, right, to a point where they're not paying attention to what's happening around them, and yet they are also part of the business. Interesting. And there's also another assumption that when you enter the music industry, you are guaranteed of success. So if once I start singing and people like my music, I'm definitely going to be successful. But from a business perspective, how realistic is that expectation?
The musicians who make it in the music industry are a minority. Just like the people who make it in gold as a business are a minority. People who make it in in um, in owning businesses are a minority. The fact that you can sing, you feel that your voice is better than that established artist voice doesn't guarantee that you're going to be successful. So it's something that you are, like I said, you must be honest with yourself. So that as you're moving, there must come a time where like you say, okay, I feel like I'm stagnant. You probably change your manager, or you feel like you're stagnant because you actually know that your talent is right. So at times you must also accept that now I must find a job and go to work. Music is not my portion. So, and if you look the world over, the majority of people are workers. They're employed. The employers are a minority. So that ratio applies in all sectors, even music. That you might have a good song that you feel that is better than that on song, but you might not get um, to that to stardom level. So it's something that it's very very important that people understand that you can get into music with such dollars, and after some time, actually you're actually poor. You might not make it. So you budget for that.
Interesting. Okay, so what you're saying is sometimes just be happy with settling into the ecosystem. You don't necessarily have to be part of the small percentage that actually reaches the top.
Mm-hmm. So
Interesting. And for artists, how would you help them to define success? Like just thinking of uh, avoiding the uh, avoiding scenarios where they face a setback and then that setback then is seen as failure. Just helping them to have that mindset of keeping going on, but of keep going that they need to keep going on, but understanding that sometimes there will be setbacks as they are.
the artist, my take on that from the experience that I'm still gathering as well. I'm saying I'm not an authority. I'm still also learning. If you've suffered a setback or you've got something that you feel like you're supposed to get and you don't get, what do you do? Right. I've got a simple solution. Yeah, the solution is that invest in good songs. Make you are the product. Music is your product, right? Invest in good songs. Go to quality producers with quality equipment. Make quality videos. When they go viral enough, you will make money. After some time, record again, put it out there, you eventually be the most wanted.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Eugene, for sharing so much insights for people to at least those that are interested in music and arts to just think about. And I think also your journey from teaching, entering entrepreneurship is very interesting and also uh, a a beacon for others who might be looking into following similar footsteps. So thank you so much. And also thank you for providing clarity, because I think there are a lot of issues that go around sometimes, but they're also based on misinformation, sometimes disinformation. So at least you managed to provide some perspective around some of these issues, providing clarity on issues around structure, accountability, which are also very important within um, any business model. So be it your printing and stationery, be it arts and talent management, as well as soccer club administration. So thank you so much for joining us today on Authentic Places.
Thank you very much, Noma. Also, thank you for providing this platform for this kind of conversations. And when you have another hot topic in the area that you feel I understand, but I'll always be there to have the conversation, trigger other conversations, get people to talk about anything that we'll be talking about, sharing, and so on. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, and we really appreciate your support.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Eugene, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and thank you for sharing your journey and your insights so openly. Your path from teaching to entrepreneurship reminds us that growth isn't always linear. And we also learned that clarity, structure, and learning are essential in every industry. And for our listeners, today's conversation really was a reminder that behind every creative career, there are systems, there are relationships, and also responsibilities that deserve understanding. Education, not assumption, is what builds sustainable communities. If you have thoughts or reflections on this conversation, we invite you to share them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Authentic Voices on our YouTube channel, and also follow us on our Facebook page as we continue to spotlight the stories that inform, that challenge, and also inspire us. Until next time, stay authentic and stay connected. Bye.